All right, this much we know, help is on the way. So for veterans who've been waiting for months, sometimes years for care, maybe signs, at least out of the Senate, the care is coming, even though this VA was not exactly a priority for them. A measure in the Senate, a measure in the House, even if both are reconciled, it's going to take time. Then you have to go to the president. He signs it. Then springs eternal help for veterans who need it. To Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis, he voted for a House VA reform bill yesterday. By the way, it was passed unanimously on the part of both parties. Where do we stand on this, Congressman, and why can't we implement things even faster? I mean, my hat's off to you guys for moving as quickly as you did. You have the separate Senate action, you have reconciliation, you have to get to the president. Meanwhile, these guys are still hurting. Why can't we get stuff going via vouchers or something like now?
Well, in terms of where we are, today I asked FBI Director Comey if he started an investigation against the VA misconduct. He actually confirmed that the FBI is investigating. I actually think that's important because what we've seen is there's absolutely no accountability in the VA. You had these folks committing essentially criminal fraud by making fake waiting lists in order to enrich themselves with bonus money. And so that's very important.
Well, wait a minute.
To know that
by his looking into it and confirming the FBI is looking into it, does that mean that indictments could be coming?
It doesn't necessarily mean that they will be, but he's a stand-up
guy. The FBI looks into criminal activity. That's what.
No, exactly. No, it's a criminal investigation. You could potentially see prosecutions. I think that's important beyond reforms. Now, in terms of reforms, why can't it be done quicker? I think it's because Harry Reid has not just saw fit to do the easy thing, the obvious thing. It passed our accountability bill, which would allow VA people to be treated like any other employee anywhere else in the country and be removed if they're not performing. And then the bill we passed yesterday allows veterans to go to get private care if they can't get through the VA morass. And those are just two very common sense pieces of legislation that probably have the support of 80 to 90% of the American people.
But it's that union component in the federal employee union that is very, very much concerned about the ability for a boss, certainly at the VA, to fire without a long, drawn-out administrative process. That is not going down easily, and they want all sorts of exceptions and provisos for that. Can you assure me, or do you have a sense that whatever evolves out of this, and I don't know why it's taking as long as it is, will include the right to fire idiots and the right to provide vouchers for those not getting care so they can get the care right now?
I don't know what Harry's going to do in the Senate, but I can tell you in the House, we want those two provisions, and I think we'll insist on those two provisions. In terms of, I know the unions, but the VA accountability bill that does give the firing authority, that got 380 votes in the House. And so when Democrats were made to go on record, they had to side with the American people. It was very
encouraging in the House, a little dicey in the Senate. But, sir, I want to expand this out to my colleagues and friends, Mattie Duppler and Jared Levy, Jolene Kent. Jolene, begin with you. We talk about getting immediate care to the veterans because back and forth, no matter who caused this, vets are still suffering, still waiting. What do you think?
Well, if you look at how fast it's going now from the House and the Senate, it is going uncharacteristically fast. It is not fast enough for those who are waiting. I think another thing that you have to look at also is this is not just a federal issue. We're also talking about state VAs with incredible amounts of backed up information
and overlap.
And overlap. So there's a lot to get through here, and the urgency couldn't be more. It couldn't be more necessary. But looking at this, yesterday Harry Reid did say he wanted to move it through. It looks like we are going to have
I think he was
progress.
Almost shamed into it. And I think, Mattie, look at this. He was going to push Elizabeth Warren's, college loan fix and all, which is fine. But I think that the VA thing had to go to the front of the line here. So I almost think he was kind of shamed into at least taking up the vote. Having said that, where do you think this is going? How quick is help on the way?
Well, it's hard to believe that Harry Reid wants to push this issue through, given that Senator Rubio tried to offer a one-paragraph would have done exactly what we're talking about here, allow the secretary to fire people based on their performance rather than their
That's a big issue with unions. You would think that hard-working public workers would say no, I'm not going to carry this guy's.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And obviously there's none of that accountability in the VA. And in the Senate, all the Senator Rubio wanted to do is branch the floor, ask for consent, and as long as no one objected, it could have gone through. Of course, Harry Reid objected. So the guy who controls the floor is not that excited about having this kind of debate on the floor because he doesn't want to have his Democrats have to explain why this administration has allowed these abuses to continue.
That's exactly right. Jared.
Yeah, but it needs to come through, and we need that sort of top-level, big push political authority to make things happen at the lower end to our vets and to those who have served. And unfortunately, yeah, it's moving quick, but not quick enough. Very difficult concept here, and I'm having trouble sort of figuring out how to come at this. I do think there's a lot of people that need to be held accountable, but in the meantime, there should be a sort of a real solution for our vets. And like you said, vouchers might be one of those, private care might be one of those solutions, but it needs to happen now, and
You're exactly right.
if that's going to happen.
You're exactly right. Guys, stick around here. My only point on this thing, and I don't care whether you're on the left and right, is all I know, when they were soldiers and they were fighting for us, they didn't waste a nanosecond looking after us, okay? So why are we wasting time kind of looking after them? But that, again, is just me. All right, well, first they went after kids' lemonade stands, and now they're banning car washes. This is getting a little goofy, don't you think?